Good morning to everyone, to our DGE Soraya and members of the District Learning Committee, to our presenters, PDG Sonia Allen, DS District Secretary Giselle, AG Elizabeth Cox, all President-elect and Secretaries-elect, and fellow Rotarians. Welcome this morning. Before we start, I just wanted to go through the Zoom protocol. So you'll see on the screen the language selection. So at the bottom, kindly click on the three dots and select your interpretation and select your language. Ensure that your name is displayed, your club and your incoming role. Mute your microphone to minimize background noise and enable your video so as to allow us to see who you are. And please note that the sessions will be recorded. If you have any questions, kindly place them in the chat in capital letters, and lengthy discussions will be assigned to a parking lot. At the end of the session, please complete the evaluation and the QR code will be in the Zoom chat. So now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our District Governor-elect, Soraya Gustav Warner. District Governor-elect Soraya has been a dedicated member of the Rotary Club of St. Lucia since 2010 and served as club president. At the district level, she was district secretary in 2020 to 2021 and has served 3 impactful terms as district interact chair, helping grow and energize the youth arm of Rotary. Paul Harris Fellow and corporate banking professional with over 30 years of experience, Soraya is passionate about youth development and leadership. She believes in Rotary's power to transform lives and create lasting change. We welcome our DGE, Soraya.
Thank you. Thank you, AG Dina. Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. I recognize that having a session like this on a Saturday requires some extra commitment, and I appreciate all of you for making the time to be here. So hope that you are energized and eager to get this session going. As you know, this is the final PELS roundup for you, our incoming leaders who, for various reasons, were unable to be with us in Trinidad. So the focus today will be on membership, governance, and goal setting. 3 key elements that we believe are essential components for a successful Rotary year. You would have attended all of our virtual PEL sessions that began with the presentation on the Rotary Action Plan, which is effectively a framework for clubs to assess their impact, identify areas for improvement, and set strategic goals. I have since circulated a presentation on the Rotary Action Plan to assist you with your planning. We have additionally delivered presentations on our foundation, public image, service projects, youth service, effective leadership techniques, and membership. Today, we share additional information on membership because we are a membership organization focused on membership growth, and there is a whole lot to share on that topic. But by now, you should have also completed the club president, club secretary, and other relevant courses for club officers that are available on the Learning Center. It is an expectation that these courses are undertaken, and certainly it will be a district citation for the presidents at the minimum to complete this. If you have received all of this learning, you are effectively ready for your role. As governors, we are required to ensure that our club leadership is exposed to a learning curriculum that provides you with the necessary knowledge to lead your clubs effectively. And it is mandatory that incoming leaders receive the learning opportunities prior to taking up office. And this is irrespective of whether this is your first time or if you are repeating the role. Rotary is at a juncture where change is occurring. It is evolving, adapting its structures and approaches to ensure that as an organization, we remain in step. And it is therefore extremely important that as leaders, we embrace all of the learning being provided so that at the minimum, we are kept abreast of these changes or new areas of emphasis and are in a position to pass on to our members to whom we are accountable. So in keeping with President-elect Mario's vision, we want to work towards being the best qualified team of volunteers and leaders in service, innovation, and community development so that all of our members across our Rotary family are empowered to address the most pressing challenges affecting all of us. I thank you so much for your attendance here today, and also want to thank our presenters, PDG Sonia, District Membership Chair Giselle, and PAG Liz for being here to present on these topics. At this point, I now hand over to AG Dina to introduce PDG Sonia, who will take us through that absolutely important session on governance. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dina. I think you're muted.
Okay, my dog was barking, sorry. Thank you so much, DG Soraya, for reminding us of the importance of strategic planning and how important it is for making an impact in this coming year. For also reminding us about participating in the learning curriculum by accessing the Learning Center. So thank you so much for those reminders. It is now my pleasure to introduce PDG Sonia Allen. Sonia Allen, District 7030 PDG for 2021-2022, is a dedicated Rotarian from Guyana, now residing in Barbados with her husband David and son Tristan. A proud member of the Rotary Club of Barbados South, Sonia has served in nearly every club role and is passionate about sharing her Rotary experiences. Professionally, she is an accountant and the CFO of the Barbados Family Planning Association. Sonia is deeply involved in her community, serving as treasurer of the Barbados Cancer Society and Non-Communicable Diseases Commissioner. A Paul Harris Fellow and member of several Rotary societies, she is also a committed volunteer with a love for travel and real estate. Fellow Rotarians, we welcome PDG Sonia Allen.
Thank you, AG Dina. Good morning, District Governor-elect Soraya, and good morning to my Rotary family of District 7030. I'll share my screen and we can get rolling. It's coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Lovely.
Thank you.
So I always start by reminding us of why we're here, why as Rotarians, we have such an awesome responsibility in this role. We're Rotarians, we're not Lions or Kiwanis. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but certainly when we serve from the heart, and we understand that our service changes lives around the globe in our communities and most definitely in ourselves. So together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. I want us to remember that as we plan our sessions and plan for our Rotary clubs and our Rotary members. We also have these 4 strategic priorities, which Rotary International and indeed President-elect Mario will reinforce for us, that we increase our impact, we expand our reach, We must enhance participant engagement, and we must increase our ability to adapt. If we don't do these things, we are expecting change, but we're not doing anything different. The Rotary world does not exist in the way it did, indeed, even last year. We are in an ever-evolving service organization, and we must be able to make these changes happen in our Rotary clubs for our members to always be on the cutting edge, and we must be able to pivot when we need to. Certainly, COVID made that very clear to us when we were in the pandemic. And I'm going to tell you, it ended 3 years ago. I can't believe it already, but it's most certainly there. Just a little bit about club hierarchy. President, president-elect and the secretary, treasurer, president nominee and the vice president, and then, of course, our other directors and club chairs. Remembering that the buck stops at the president, but the president leads by consensus. Everybody on the board does some heavy lifting so that it makes the job a lot easier. It's not my club, it's our club. It's not my year, it's our year, presidents. It's our club year, it's our goals, even though your name is president and you carry out the mandate as laid out by Rotary International. Also remembering that we have Rotary International's stuff to look at. We also have goals from District Governor Soraya. So, I mean, there are a lot of people that we have to be accountable to. As you should be doing all now, and you should have been doing this for the last couple of months, specifically speaking to the presidents and the secretaries in this group, the incoming presidents and secretaries. You all are tasked with ensuring that the club bylaws are the most up to date, that club constitution has been reviewed according to the most recent Council on Legislation, and you must get that done before the 1st of July. Because those documents tell us how our clubs are to be run. And if you're ever in doubt, you definitely go to those documents. They are standard documents that Rotary has designed for ease so that everybody doesn't have different things that they live by. Of course, there are peculiarities in clubs, but essentially those documents are the same for everyone. The manual of procedures, both Rotary International's manual of procedures and the district manual of procedures. Fellow Rotarians, if you have never seen them, if you don't know where to find them, please become familiar with them before June 30th. Those are our Bibles, people. That's how we govern. That's the rule of law. Those manual of procedures and Rotary International's manual of procedures, the district and Rotary International's. It's key that you are able to access them. Way back in the day, we used to, every Rotarian every 3 years got a little blue book, and everybody had them, all kinds of sticky notes and tabs and pieces of paper in them, so that you could find the sections that pertain to what you're looking for. Now everything is online. It's on websites. I encourage you strongly to go and find them, to make sure that you understand what your role is and how you're supposed to run the club. That is, of course, in addition to doing the sessions on the Learning Center. We also ask you to consider Rotary strategic plan. The district has a strategic plan, Rotary International has a strategic plan, and every club in our district should have a strategic plan. A strategic plan is not a one-year document, it's spread out over several years, and there's buy-in and consensus of the upcoming members of your organization, your club. So, and it's developed through consultation and all kinds of information pulled from all members of your club. So your club members are invested in this document, this strategic plan. On the screen, I also have the Memorandum of Understanding. That Memorandum of Understanding is a document that you should be looking to sign if you haven't done so already before the end of June, because that document allows you to access the district grants when they become available. It is an agreement between you and the district that you're contributing to the foundation and that you will have the stewardship of the district's money to be able to use. So I urge you to find, if you haven't seen that document already, find out about it and make sure that your club has signed that Memorandum of Understanding and has sent it back to the secretary or the foundation chair, okay? A shameless plug for the Council on Legislation's seminar that's coming up next week, Wednesday. I urge you, come and listen, see what happens at the Council on Legislation, but also what is happening in it that your club needs to know. PDG Lara will do this on Wednesday evening at 7. So I encourage you to join us. So as you are making your club plans crystallized at this point, because I'm hoping that everyone has something down on paper in their mind somewhere about what they're going to be doing, for what their clubs are going to be doing. But we make these goals as club leaders by considering what RI has asked us, Rotary International has asked us to be their focus and their goals. And District Governor-elect Soraya, she has goals as well. And all those goals match back up to the citation, which we all eagerly await to hear about, so that we can challenge our club members to be the best Rotary club that we can be in the district and in the Rotary world for the year 2025, 2026. So these are things that the president, the secretary, but also the president-elect needs to keep in their minds as we get up to the start of the new Rotary year. So that would be what the president-elect, secretary-elect, and the president nominee need to be thinking about, right? The goals and citations. So we talked about this president role being a consensus role. It's a role where the president leads, but he leads at the behest of his club or her club. It's about ensuring that the members, that you're the voice of the members, but you are the one who has the responsibility, the face of the club for the year. But in order to do these things, you have to have the tools. And Rotary International has developed and collaborated with other organizations in order for us to be able to have the best experience in our roles. So, presidents, I'm speaking to you specifically because I want you to understand that being able to access these reports makes your job a whole lot easier, and access to these programs. So being able to access Club Runner and Rotary.org, My Rotary, the Learning Center, the Membership Success Center, Rotary Club Central, all of those things help in your being able to access, to communicate with your members, but also to be able to see what's happening in your club as it is measured in the Rotary world. So Club Runner is a communications tool, which I encourage you to be proficient in and to use, which syncs with the Rotary.org. So whatever's on there happens on Rotary.org, and it goes back and forth. The Membership Success Center is an amazing tool that the district and the club membership chairs access and be able to see how your membership goals play out against your actuals, but also it gives you some great tools to be able to improve membership and engagement. So the Membership Success Center is truly an insightful tool that I encourage you to access. And I know that we don't use that tool very much in this district as members, but if we talk about it enough, people will hear about it and actually go seek it out and go and find it and use it. Rotary Club Central is another wonderful tool where everything, all your goals and plans are measured. And that's the tool that the district governor will use as she prepares to visit the club. And the assistant governors use that Rotary.org tool as well to report on their visits to the club. And we're able to, as we input our goals at the beginning of the year, we're also updating those goals as we go in the year so that we can see what our progress is. So Rotary Club Central is our monitoring and evaluation tool, which is an asset to the clubs as well as to the district governor. As we talked about, knowing all about your citations and their goals. As you go into Rotary.org, you will see how your progress is towards the citation, whether it is RI citation and towards the citation from the district as well, and how your goals are being measured, okay? Dues, when the governor visits, please do not have dues outstanding. Oh my goodness, the governor does not want, she does not want cash to bring back with her to deposit to any account. Please use the portal and pay your RI dues and pay your Rotary district dues as soon as the bills come out. Those bills, the district dues, come out in late July, early August, once a year. Pay them. And the RI dues come out early in July and early in January. Please make sure they're paid, because If those things are not paid, one, if RI dues are not paid, the governor hears about it. And then she is going to be on you to pay them. Because if you don't pay RI very quickly, they don't even give you too long. They delist. And that is bare stress to get you back on the roster. So ensuring that your dues are paid and indeed the bills to the club are paid. But also the president is monitoring the progress of the directors, because everybody has a role and everybody has some tasks that they have to do to ensure that the clubs are running, are doing what they're supposed to be doing, what the club is doing what it's supposed to be doing to achieve their goals. So no one is a runaway train. Everybody is accountable. So there's a plan in the club, and there's accountability to ensuring that the plan is going as it was designed. So the president is going to be monitoring that. And together with the directors, we'll be reporting back to the club and to your community and to your country. Because we don't do these things in isolation. As Rotary clubs, we serve, and Tobago, looking. As Rotary clubs, we serve our communities and we're accountable to them because we take their money. And we want them to know that their money is not going to us Rotarians having a great time or going to a district conference. We want the community and the country to know that the money that they have entrusted to us goes to exactly where we say that money is going to go to. So we're constantly updating and we're constantly telling that story through our different channels. Assistant governors, your role is key. You are in the place of the governor in that country at the time. Governor can't be everywhere. We are a very unique, one of the unique districts in the world. In that, we're separated by water. The governor has to fly. So she has, in this case, she has assistant governors in each territory who stand in her stead and who intervene on while she's not there. Every club needs to know who your assistant governor is. Find out who that person is. Sometimes it's not immediately apparent. But the assistant governor should visit quarterly, if not more often. But I believe District Governor-elect Soraya will request that they visit quarterly and provide her with an update as to what is happening. The governor, as I said, cannot be with each club in each country. So the assistant governor is the governor for special occasions, you know, the installations, the projects, meetings, advice. That's who you kind of channel things to before you go immediately to the governor. I don't think that DGE Soraya would like to have 77 phone calls every day, or 77 plus the Rotaractors and Interactors. The assistant governor, who, by the way, is also now in charge of helping with membership in their territories, is that person who is a knowledgeable Rotarian who can give you the guidance and support that is needed to help you through the journey of the Rotary year. You're not in this alone, and the assistant governors are there to provide that support. And also the assistant governor coordinates the visit of the governor when they're coming. So the assistant governor will coordinate with all clubs, Rotary, Rotaract, Interact, to ensure that the district governor's visit is a unified and complete visit, that she is shown projects, she is, there are adequate fellowship events that she can meet Rotarians and have great memories of our district, which I know that she's looking forward to, and so are we as she visits each of our countries. The district governor's visit. It's important that you schedule in that date, presidents. You get that date early. So if you have a special occasion coming up in your club or in your country and you want the governor to visit, don't tell her a week before the event. That does not bode well for you. You know what these dates are early. Approach her early. Also, when she's coming, don't wait until she's about to come, then to be having a flurry about getting her to visit the head of state. As you know the date, send in the invite, send in the request, because we want the head of state in our country to know who our district governor is, and also to understand the importance that Rotary places on its leaders. This information that I'm giving you here is what your assistant governor will do, but I want everybody to understand what goes into hosting a district governor. It just doesn't happen like that by magic. There is a whole plan, and to be able to plan, you need to know, right? Each club needs to say what they would like the governor to do when they're there. She may not do all, but at least you all will pick what activities she will do. It is important to let her know how Rotary is in the country. Are we in membership decline? Are we having some issues with members who join because they want Rotary on their CV and to use Rotary to further their ends, but not really serving the community? Are we on a trajectory? Are we moving numbers? Are we turning over numbers, adding to her district growth? Because every governor wants to see growth numbers. But I want you to know that there's no point having growth numbers if you're adding members, but they're not working. We want members who work, who understand what the assignment is. Many want to join our organization, trust me, but few want to do the heavy lifting. Few want to wake up on Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock to come to a training session. But you are here, and you are here because you are the dedicated. You are the ones that we want to attract for all Rotary clubs in all roles of our Rotary clubs, right? So you grow membership, but you grow membership with people who understand the assignment. So membership is a big topic. Foundation is a big topic. Public image, telling that story, are big topics. So we want to be able to talk to the governor about those things that matter. We also need to be able to tell the governor that story of our Rotary Club so that she meets 77 clubs But in the 77 Club, she knows something uniquely special about your Rotary Club. And that's what we want her to take away. I spoke to you about paying your dues. Pay your dues. Please do not let the governor come and your dues have not been paid. That is shame. Because you don't want her to tell you about your club dues being outstanding and you're feeling embarrassed. Please pay your dues. And then, of course, she's also going to be talking to you at that visit about your progress in goals and the citations and how you match up and where you're looking and how she can help you along with her team, the district leadership team, how they can help you to achieve the goals that you have set out for yourselves and that she has set for you. Okay, so the governor's visit is the highlight of your Rotary year, and one in which you want to ensure that your club is at its best. It doesn't take 100 members to be at its best. What it takes is committed Rotarians doing the job to ensure that she continues to see growth. Okay? Club secretaries. Club Secretary Lex, I speak to you directly. Don't let anybody know what I'm saying. Club secretaries, you're the most important person in the club. Don't tell anybody else. This is our secret. But you have such an amazingly responsible role. That link between the club directors and the club president is through you, because everything happens in the secretary's position. The secretary enters the goals on Rotary Club Central. The secretary enters members and updates my Rotary, making sure that what's on Club Runner matches my Rotary and that they're in sync and up to date. She is monitoring the citation, the progress of the citation as well, because the president is off doing other things. So the secretary is checking on all of that all the time, giving the president the heads up as to what's happening, who is falling behind. We're almost at such and such a date. This is the deadline date. Make sure that we make it. Director, we have a date coming up. Have you done what you're supposed to do? We can't miss this citation because we want to be Club of the Year. We want to be a platinum club. So secretaries, you're on that. That's your job, making sure that everybody is in line, that the directors are in line, that membership is reporting, that foundation is contributing, that the story is being told through public image, and letting the president know who is not pulling their weight. Okay, so the secretary is along for the ride, keeping the club through minutes updated, but also keeping the president updated on what's happening, because that secretary is getting minutes from all the committees as well. So they know intimately what's happening to be able to give the president the information, and making sure that at Club Forum, of which there's supposed to be 4 each year, that the minutes are kept and that all decisions are documented at the Club Forum, and that the boards meet regularly, and that the information that the decisions that are made at the board meeting are followed and kept up and documented. Also making sure that these records are kept in a place that can be easily handed over. That role to me gives you a total picture of what your Rotary Club does and how it feeds into the district and what it takes to ensure a successful year for your club. Club treasurer, it's important that you know before June 30th how many members you have, because that billing on July the 1st is a big thing, right? You're going to be paying for members that are not there or not active if you have not done something about them before June 30th. All now, not that district membership chair Giselle she's going to give me a little side eye, but all now you're supposed to be making sure that your members, that your club is really in good nick, so that you don't have people on your invoice that are not really there. Pay your dues promptly, RI twice, July and January, and that the district, as soon as the district dues invoice appears. And both those invoices are calculated based on the number of people that are in your club as at those dates, July 1st and January 1st. The treasurer is in charge of the record keeping, making sure that the financial stewardship of the club is strong and that there are audits being done to ensure that the people that trust us with their money are assured that the money is going in the right place and that we are keeping up with our obligations. Because if we don't have audited financial statements, we can't access some types of grants and, you know, accountability. Board members, you are charged with attending board meetings, attending club meetings. You can't just be a board member and not attend these things, because we understand that you maybe can't attend all, but you must attend. Attend the club forums, attend the activities. Make sure that you are grooming people to take over that role, because you cannot be the club board member in charge of service projects for life. You can't be president for life either. You got to be able to turn it over, right? That's how we grow leaders, by ensuring we have adequate success planning. Please, if you fail to plan, plan to fail. Let this be ringing in your ears all the time. It's important. A plan is important. You just don't do these things by the seat of your pants. You must. Fellow Rotarians, that's my time this morning. I hope that there's something in there that you had not heard before, or something that I've said this morning that has motivated you to take that next step, to be thorough in your planning, to take your role seriously, and to have the most amazing experience of your Rotary life as you step into these new roles in the new Rotary year 25-26 under the leadership of District Governor-elect Soraya. It's my pleasure to have been here this morning, and I wish you a very successful rest of the day. I'm not sure if there are any questions, and I'm hoping that I was so thorough that there are none, and that we can move on to the next presenter. But I will take guidance from the team.
As for now, Sonia, I don't see any questions.
Hallelujah. Happy Saturday, folks. Time for me to head to the beach. No, seriously, I'm listening. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, we go over to Errol.
Good morning, all. Let me say thank you to PDG Sonia for her eloquent presentation as she addresses all of the issues that the incoming presidents and secretary and board members. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy your day at the beach. I'm from Antigua, so, you know, Usually Saturday morning is my beach time, so I take off this morning so that I could be here with all of us today.
I did my beach time at 6 this morning, Errol,
All
so
right.
left
Yes.
there to do a cleanup to come here. Service above
Oh,
self.
okay then. And now we're gonna go into our next presentation on membership, and our presenter will be District Secretary Giselle Holder. But before she come to the screen, I'd like to introduce her and let you know that Giselle is the Director of Facilities Management at Aquitas Caribbean Limited, where she worked for the past 16 years. She holds a master's in facility management from RIT and a bachelor's in electrical and computer engineering from the UWI. A passionate advocate for youth and service, Giselle began her Rotary journey in 2007 as a Rotaractor and joined the Rotary Club of Marvel in 2018. She served as District 7030 in multiple roles, including as past District Rotaract representatives and currently as District Secretary and co-chair of Membership Committee. Fellow Rotarians, committee members, and incoming presidents and directors, I present to you District Secretary Giselle Holder.
Okay, so hi, thanks so much for that, Errol, and good morning, everyone. So happy to be here and happy Saturday. I unfortunately don't have a beach routine, so I'm a little bit jealous, but it's all good. So as Rotarian Errol said, we are going to spend a little time on membership. I would have presented before during the virtual session. And so this presentation is a bit different to that because it reflects more so what we did in person at our recently held conference in Trinidad and Tobago. So it builds up on that. I believe you should have access to the virtual, and I do have 2 slides at the end if we have enough time, just as a little reminder from that virtual session. But let's get into it. Okay, so it's always good for us to look at where we are. And though the year, our Rotary year isn't yet over, this year, 24-25, as a district, thankfully, we maintained what we've done for the past 3 years, which is maintained overall positive growth as a district. Now, the numbers usually, as PDG Sonia said, we do get a hit at the end of the year because of the purge. And the purge is what she described, which is when we clean up our membership listing and we get rid of all the Rotarians in name only. But we need to do better than that and not leave it for the end of the year and to have these really big chunks of persons leaving us. So what we've seen very briefly, I'm not going to spend much time on this because this is all statistics that are actually available to you through the Membership Success Center. And actually, we will be sending things out like this to the district throughout the year. But basically, it's take pride in the fact that collectively, as Rotary District 7030, we grew, right? But we recognize that we have so much more opportunities to grow even more. Because if you could see on the screen, you have a new membership total, right? This would have been in May or April rather, of 176 persons, but terminations, meaning all different things, people leaving Rotary for whatever reason. It does not capture the reasons. But in terms of terminations, we have 138. So we could do much better than that. Yes, it's a positive figure at the end, but we could do much better than that because we're bringing in a lot of people. Okay, so it's just a reminder that we can do so much more. So as we near the end of this Rotary year, it will be remiss of me to not echo what myself and the current district membership chair and our district governor nominee, Marie Sad, what we've been working on. And just an encouragement to all clubs here, because membership efforts don't stop. It's something that is continuous throughout the year. And that's why we remind you guys that we finish strong. So this strategy that we've had, that your club has had on the club level and the strategy we've had on the district level is let's focus on growing, okay? Whatever that means for your club, because we know we have clubs at different sizes, right? In terms of small, medium, large, and the effort for growth may be different in terms of what is needed. But the point is we have strategies as it pertains to growing, as it pertains to retaining membership, right? The other thing is we just touched on it, avoid the purge. So it may be a little bit late if you have not, as a club president, as a club membership chair, thought about or included in your strategy, how do we avoid the purge? So as I said earlier, it's one of the best strategies for fighting that purge because it happens. Guys, the reason it was called the purge is that it affects every club. This is not a District 70-30 problem. This is a Rotary International membership problem. And they've been able to actually track and show through the statistics that every club more or less does that cycle, right? We increase and then we go back down. And the two areas, the 2 times of the year where we have significant decreases as an organization in our membership numbers are December and June. Why? Because that's when we get ready to receive our invoices. It just is what it is. But we can apply strategies and very simple approaches to help avoid that massive or significant impact to our membership numbers. And one of them, very simply, is through engagement throughout the year. So we know the members, we know them who are either not present, haven't really been to any events. What are we doing in terms of approaching them? And similarly, while that is a retention strategy, what's happening with our growth strategies, okay? Because if we're constantly bringing in persons who, of course, line up with our club culture and are willing to become really good Rotarians, then we almost balance off, right? That purge that we know will happen. People will leave for many different reasons. We also encourage, as another step, a proper handover. PDG Sonia stressed that for all leadership positions within the club, that you need to have a proper handover. And it's the same for our club membership chair. Okay, if you're not returning to the role, then you must have by now, I would think you have still a few weeks, right? Have that conversation with your current club membership chair, have the conversation with your current president and your incoming president. Let's talk membership. Let's talk what has worked, what has not worked. Let's talk maybe what was intended, but we didn't get time to do it. Because why reinvent the wheel if there were things that were working or things in the pipeline that we could now execute in the new year? All right. And I have a 10 PELS. So you guys are getting this wonderful makeup session because you're special, right? And I'm really hoping that those clubs who did not attend and for whatever reason really made it to this session, because it's so vital for us to ensure our leadership is aware of what our district is planning, what we are hoping for in the new year, what DGE Saraya is encouraging all clubs to take on. So this image looks a little bit complicated, but of course we have the French version and the English version. But it's also a reminder for us as we talk about that finishing strong and also looking to the new year, right? That we recognize the club experience, and it's the caption to the top, the club experience, what we experience when we go to our club meetings, to our club events, when we're liming, when we're out with our members, when we're doing that beach cleanup, when we're attending conference together. That is what matters the most, how we feel, right? The thing that drives us, okay, to attend more sessions, to go and do learning on the learning center, go and learn about new courses, right? Learn more about our organization, come up with innovative ways to do projects. All of that is deep rooted in our feeling and our experience on the club level. If we are disenchanted, if we are bored out of our minds, if we don't get any value out of the club experience, then everything else is impacted. our ability to serve, our ability to grow the foundation, our ability to advertise and market what Rotary does and what we do. Everything is impacted. And so as a root cause, we've realized that club experience is so critical. And these are 5 simple steps about what makes up that club experience. I'm not going to go through all, but I'm just going to touch on what the 5 items are. So it's about meeting enjoyment. Guys, it's not rocket science, right? We're not trying to blow you away with anything that is, unknown to you. And that, I think, is one of the most important points, that everything we talk about in membership are things you guys know already. All we're doing is reinforcing what works and listening to you as well, so you could share us how you have innovated on these very simple strategies. That's all we're doing in membership. So yes, meeting enjoyment. What does that meeting experience feel like for both new and experienced members? Because remember, we're dealing with our entire membership. In the in-person PELS, I remember a Rotarian asking me, how does one connect to a younger Rotarian as well as a Rotarian who's been in the club for X number of years? And it comes back to that experience, okay? It comes back to how are we finding out what are they interested in? Another Rotarian very recently, he's an incoming president, and I was so excited. He actually conducted a survey with his club because he wants to know, what are people feeling like? What are they enjoying? What are they not enjoying? Right? How can we be better? Okay. We also need to establish confidence in club membership. And I think that's real life things, right? In terms of, if you talk about your government, right? In your country, if you talk about in the workplace, we need persons to endorse our leadership, to believe in what is being said. Else everything falls very flat, right? And if we have persons who are not walking the walk, but just talking the talk, then we could see there will always be a disconnect in what we're trying to promote versus what actually gets done in the club. So don't overreach, let's talk real things. Let's recognize what our limitations are and know that, okay, guys, well, maybe this year we could focus on this aspect because that's what I think we have the time and the effort and the resources for us to do. And persons will respect that rather than selling a dream and then nobody really gets anything done and we're back at the same position at the end of the day. Providing personal growth opportunities, another real life aspect, right? In terms of enjoying your workplace, right? Enjoying living in your country, enjoying being a Rotarian. We all want opportunities to do more, right? And so for the new member, especially, or the new person coming into Rotary, who wouldn't like to know, what is needed to be a board member? How can I develop my skills? How can I get more experience? Where's the next learning session for me to gain some of these critical skills? Where can I go? What resources do I have? And 5 to me is a very meaningful one because it's at the heart of what we do. It speaks about service. And you'd realize anytime we talk membership, we always talk service. We talk public image as well. I don't think you could separate these 3 things, right? It's always part of what we do. And we know service for us in Rotary also stems off of the foundation. So these are 3 areas that are deeply interconnected, right? And so if one falters, it impacts on all the others. So we must provide meaningful service opportunities for our members. And then we have, of course, I skipped 4, right? Because we went 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, that's fine, right? So in terms of number 4, which is the last one, we talk about connections. So all this slide is really reminding us is sometimes what is the reason or what are the reasons people join Rotary, and sort of re-tapping into that so that persons get value, they get something out of this membership experience. Being a Rotarian is so much more than just being a volunteer, right? That's not how we roll, okay? It's not about just show up today and then we go our way. We form meaningful relationships, right? We go out together. We become like family. And that is not by chance. That is very intentional. And so that connection, it talks here about that valuable relationships formed through Rotary, is actually one of the most significant reasons people stay in Rotary. Okay, so it's just for us to remember at the heart of it all is about what do people experience when they come to your club meetings, to your club events. So we have some tips, right? And it's just a reminder for every Rotarian, regardless of how long you've been in Rotary, whether you're incoming president, whether you are the incoming club membership chair, whether you are a long-standing Rotarian who's sort of relaxing a little bit, because, you know, we gave of ourselves for many years, we're a little tired, but we love Rotary, so we're here. It goes for everyone, right? And we should always be open to learning. Right, Rotary has changed a lot in my short time in Rotary so far. You know, you could actually see and pinpoint and highlight the significant changes that are happening, and they're positive changes. They're changes focused around improving that club experience and that membership experience. So we need to learn and find out what's happening. And learning is actually an intentional word because, as you know, over the last few years, we've moved away from training to learning, and it's all about encouraging persons to want to know more about what we do, to delve into it and to share. Okay, we need also to recognize we can't do this on our own. We have to have a committee. Now, Marisa and I, we work together quite well in terms of pushing forward a lot of these membership ideas and working with clubs. But this year, we are taking that one step further, and we've expanded into an actual committee, a small committee, nevertheless, but it's a committee that allows for us now to have even more shared ideas, more persons on the ground who could help advocate for membership. And that's the same thing we're asking on the club level, that you must have a membership committee. This is the time. So yes, by now, we've appointed our membership chair, we've elected that person. Let's organize the committee who is working with us. And we have some default positions in there. Of course, your president, right? Ex officio is part of that committee. But who else is critical? Maybe there are persons in your club who you think, you know, would be very key to being on this committee. And let's shake it up a little bit. It doesn't have to be the same people over and over as well. Let's try new people, okay? I'm going to say how bad it could be, but let's not use that. Let's try new people, right? And see how it works. And then, you know, if you need to add in more persons, cycle persons out, that's how it goes. Have a plan. And I'm looking at PDG Sonia because I owe her a plan. But basically, on that level, we are asking every club to write it down. We all have ideas. We all have an understanding of what we feel and what we think may work. But it becomes so much more powerful and, more importantly, actionable when we write it down. So our zone, for those of you who attended the virtual membership session, we had some pretty big hitters, right? We had Brian King, right, who is Rotary's membership officer, the king of membership, right? We had Mary Ligon, who is our zone 33, and zone 34, membership Rotary coordinator. And she left us with a lot of tools, right? I have the QR code at the end. So when you scan that, you actually get links to a plan, a club membership plan template, right? And you'll also see the same plan that our district committee, the templates that we are going to use, and you'll see the differences in it. But it's such a powerful tool because we recognize sometimes it's hard to start. And so the template allows for you to sit down with your committee, consulting with your board, your president, and other key members in the club, and getting this done on a plan. Just to, you know, get a little bit on a soapbox here. A plan is something we're meant to use throughout the year. It's not get it done, put it down, walk away. A plan is something that we should carry with us throughout the year. We're tweaking it, we're improving it on it, so that we know when we look at this resource, when we go back to it, it's something that we can actually action. We can go back and say, okay, great. We were able to do 1, 2, 3. Let's see how we could get to 4 and 5. Or maybe 1, 2, 3, you know, I don't think we're going to get there. Let's see how we could flesh out 1 and 2 some more so we could action that, and let's do 3, 4, and 5 in the following year. And that becomes part of our handover. So it challenges us. A plan is supposed to challenge us, right? And part of that challenge is embracing new club formats as well. understanding that Rotary, as I mentioned, those changes, right? Those exciting new opportunities we have. So our Rotary gurus, right, have sat down and recognized that the way in which we bring persons into Rotary needed to change. We were getting a little bit heavy, in other words, right? And that's okay if you still have a very traditional way of looking at membership, but it's good for us to know there are many ways for us to form new clubs, for us to bring in members. And it's all about, again, on the club level, what works for our club, what works for our culture, and what we can also explore. There's no wrong or right, okay, in terms of those strategies that we can use to bring in new members. What I would caution everyone is try not to go for everything, right? Remember, it's all about your club experience and your club culture. So, and when you think about it, when you go through the different club formats, right? So we're talking things like satellite clubs, we're talking the possibility for members having different payment due types. And it just depends on what we're looking at exploring. Having members who are from a company join our club and sharing up that membership. There are so many different things, and there are things we have not even identified that clubs can do and explore depending on where you are. So it's an opportunity to think outside the box, to look at your environment, look at your club, and see what does changing up, our club format, what does looking at different club types allow for us in terms of growth. And then, of course, we as a district membership committee, we are committing to meet up with you guys virtually, just like this, quarterly, okay, where we have really candid, very open, and also short discussions with no more than 30 minutes on what's happening, how are things going, what's working for your club. Let's hear about that. What's not working, and let's see if there are any solutions amongst the clubs who are here for us to share. Okay, because it's not to get really down and discouraged around the losing members. There are always opportunities to get new members, and let's see what works. So in the in-person session in conference where we did, these PELS, I would have posed to the current attendees 2 scenarios. So I still wanted to share these scenarios with you. I'm not doing any breakout rooms and stuff because that could get a little wonky. And I know we're all still in a state of getting up, right? So what I just wanted to share with you was more the outcomes, right? That was shared in terms of feedback that was given. So the first scenario spoke about identifying ways in which we could encourage younger Rotarians, not necessarily younger people, but younger Rotarians, meaning you're new to the organization, to take up leadership positions on the club level. Okay, so what sort of strategies were working? What sort of, direct influence we were having on encouraging persons? Because one of the very real issues I've seen over the past few years is we always have clubs when it comes to May and June who haven't even held election. And for some clubs, this may be a very baffling, very shocking statistic, but it's very real. And the reason isn't necessarily that they don't have enough members or anything like that, but people just don't want the leadership positions. And part of that lies very heavily in perception. How do people see the leadership positions? Is it that they think it's something, I could never be that, or I can never have so much time? How I could do that? Because they see it as something you alone are doing, that if you take on the presidency, that's a one-man show, right? And that's the only thing that we could do. And it's really something that's quite worrying at times in terms of sometimes how we lead, right? And how we show that information to our members. So granted that I know these positions could be very difficult at times, but we also need to encourage our members that when they are leaders, they are not by themselves, right? Okay, right? So it's a very, very important thing for us as Rotarians, as incoming leaders, to ensure that we have persons coming up right behind us. That succession planning is a very real thing that we need on the club level as well. No one wants to be a president for life. No one wants to be a treasurer for life. Okay, we need fresh blood, we need new ideas. And this is part of it, in terms of kind of breaking those perceptions. What is it? What is it really that's preventing persons from going up for these roles? So one of our takeaways from it is about building a strong foundation, right? We need it to be member focused, right? We need to have flexibility. We need to focus on what are the things that bring people to Rotary in the first place. A mix of projects, a mix of fellowship, finding that sweet spot, right? In terms of allowing people to opportunities to network, opportunities to know about what we do, deepen that focus on service, but recognize that we want to have fun too. Work is hard, right? We work in whole week and we deserve a party. Just had to say that, right? But seriously, we do deserve opportunities to relax, to learn more about each other. And actually, it's through those opportunities many times that new ideas for projects, new ideas for events, new ideas for fundraisers actually come out. Okay, we need to have an atmosphere of inclusion. Okay, I think one of the best examples or definitions I've heard of that is your Rotary Club should really reflect its community in terms of who is in your club. Right? So that's a very powerful statement. If we stop and think about where my club is my Rotary Club really reflecting the persons in my community by way of the members we have, the diversity we see? And it could be a very informative way of identifying, who else we need to bring into the club or the opportunities we may have. Always provide moments to learn about Rotary, whether it be through our meetings, through conversations, sharing links, and people learn in different ways. No one wants to get a feeling like if we're back in school and it's a deadline and it's heavy. But we have very fun things now. We have a lot of videos, some posts, people do a lot of memes, ways to just encourage persons to know more about our organization. And it's fun ways as well. And overall, having that focus on improving the club meeting experience. The second scenario we focused on, delved a little bit deeper and challenged persons who were present to answer the question of why do we even grow? Why are we even thinking of growth? Okay, some persons may say we're 1.2 million persons, isn't that enough? Okay, but we recognize that we need more hands on deck. And so the more persons we have, the more we're able to get done. And so we asked clubs who were present to explore 3 ways that a club in your community could possibly grow, right? And we just reinforced as well what happens when we grow. So we know if we have this current network of members, Rotarians who've come together, right? If we expanded that a bit, the idea is that we have this greater network. Okay, we have different backgrounds, people with different expertise coming together with what? That focus on us doing more, that focus on us doing better projects, maybe getting more exposure from a public image perspective, being able to plan slightly larger projects that could also serve as opportunities to bring new people into the club because we could advertise and market our Rotary Club and what Rotary does. It allows for us also to give back more. The more members we bring in, the more persons we could encourage to give to the foundation, which also allows for us to do more service, right? And it's also, which is a big one, and one we've seen, especially after COVID, it helps lessen the effect of burnout. And burnout is such a real thing. It happens to us in work, it happens to us in our day-to-day life, and it happens in Rotary. And the reason it happens in Rotary is when we just don't have enough people, enough of a core to help us get the job done. And, some people may say, but we have 45 members, but whom do you see? You see the same 8, 5, 6 people, every project, every event, right? And they're the same ones doing the work. And so that is how burnout happens, because you have the same people doing all the work all the time. And that's something we want to avoid. So that also is an opportunity for us to ask the question, why and the rest of persons engaged? Is it that they don't feel they need to be involved? Is it that they are so busy, right? And I don't believe in the so busy, because I believe if you want to do something, you'll make time for it. So really, let's get to the heart of what the reason could possibly be, right? For these persons, these members, because they're Rotarians already, these members feeling that they don't need to assist in a deeper way, in a more meaningful way. And sometimes, and this is not beating on those who form part of the core and do most of the work, but sometimes our own mannerisms and the way we portray the work will make no one want to ever pick up that position or want to do that work. So it comes back again in terms of, guys, how are we encouraging persons to come on board? How are we encouraging persons to be part of the decision making, to be part of the planning? And, you know, part of that too is having these committees. We've said that before. Let persons come in and see what is needed. Let them share their expertise, come up with new ideas, right? Because it could be that, you know, how we are presenting these positions or these projects or these events, you know, it kind of turns people off because it seems like we want the one-man show. Well, that could be the total opposite of what we want. So let's have the conversations with our members, especially if we're not seeing persons pulling their weight, so to speak. And of course, we share our Rotary story, right? And we do this through our projects and all the events. And of course, we always remember that Rotary happens at the club level. Yes, we have, RI has a board, we have zones all over, we have our own district leaders and stuff, but where the magic happens really is on that club level. And so I wanted to share with you guys who our current team is. So you all could just see them as well as know their names. So we have, of course, DGE Saraya, who will be our district governor. And we have our assistant Rotary coordinator, who is PDG Sonia. She will be with us. DGN Maurice has also agreed to stay on to help however he could. But our brand spanking new persons, we have Natalie out of Guadeloupe. We have Larry out of Rotary Club of St. Augustine in Trinidad. And we have Antuza, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. She sent me a voice note with her pronunciation, which I appreciate. And she is out of Suriname. Okay, so we have we purposefully put together a small team, as I said, but I believe a very passionate team that will allow for us to get to things. So the key focus for us, of course, is, as DG Saraya would have shared, we are looking at those innovative club types. We are looking at ways for us to grow, but we're also looking at working with our clubs on ways that are very specific to you to figure out what's happening on the club level, and then, of course, to take that forward into actionable steps to allow for growth and allow for retention as far as possible. And this is where I wanted to end on you guys. It's a QR code, so everybody could take out their phones, scan it. This was from our Rotary coordinator, Mary Ligon, and the link has, you'll see several things when you open it. And one of the key things that I want you guys to take on is that club membership template. I'm going to email it out as well, but this is just a very quick way that you guys could get to it and download it and look at that template. It's not difficult. I think it's 2 pages, right? And that is intentionally done because whatever we put down there, we have to do. Okay, it's not for us to send in a thesis. We have to get it done, right? So let's think about that. When we go through the template, it's built for us to think and build upon everything we put into it. Ask from a very basic point of view, who's on your team? What role are they playing? So it's the same exercise we have to do on the district membership team. Who's on your team? Who's doing what? You know, what's their role? What sort of targets do we have for this year? What are we working towards? Okay, and then how are you kind of doing the checks and balances to ensure that we're actually getting it done? And if we're not getting it done, what do we need to do better? Okay, so what are the challenges we're having? And let's come up with some solutions. So it's very important for us to remember that we must have a plan. And we're, as I said, we're encouraging on the district level, on the zone level, to please fill out these plans. So the importance here is when you do fill out the plan, we actually want to get it back from clubs so we could also support and we could give feedback on, you know, maybe there are some ideas we could share, or we could be like, can we share your plan, you know, to show others because it's so well done, right? And because we realize there's so many opportunities right here in our district. We don't need to make things up, okay? There are so many ideas, so many solutions that are working. And we need to share that because we do have some clubs that feel, you know, right now that, you know, nobody else knows what we're going through. You know, our membership is dwindling and, you know, we're not quite sure what's happening. And that is so not true. Nobody is in a silo. Every club, look right now, our largest club is the Rotary Club of Barbados. They have 100+ members. But that does not mean they aren't sitting down thinking about how are we going to grow? What is our retention strategy? And so if the largest club in our district is still having those kind of conversations, every club in our district should be having those conversations, okay? And let's reach out to our members. Let's remember that Rotary happens on the club level. Let's remember that club experience. What do we get from our meetings? What do we get from our events? How can we make our meetings more enjoyable? Right? We actually had a presentation on that earlier in either, this Rotary year, right? About that club experience, okay? And bringing in good speakers, listening to our members, maybe even asking our members to conduct meetings for us and knowing a bit more about them. All things that we've been doing for years as Rotary clubs, nothing so, you know, out there, but it's just about reinforcing it and ensuring that we are comfortable and that we have this focus of growing our clubs. And I did say I put in 2 slides, right? I think I'm okay for time. I don't know. I think so, right? And
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lise. Right, so I just wanted to share a reminder of our goals. Now, DGE Saraya did share a little bit more detail on this, but it's just a reminder on the membership side. Remember, I said we have a committee as well that we will be working with you guys throughout the year. And of course, working with our district leadership. So we are looking for growth again to maintain that trajectory of our district growing each year in a positive direction. We've had it for this will now be 4 years straight. We want that, okay? And of course, we're looking for that 5% net growth. We are encouraging people, and PDG Sonia said it, we have tools out there, guys. And part of that, that QR code, I think it had a link to the Membership Success Center. And if it didn't, we will definitely be sending you guys out a resource package of sorts. It really will just be some links for you to come back to. Save it to your favorites, right? On whatever, I forget what they call that, engine or whatever you use, right? Internet software that you use. So whether it's Google, Internet Explorer, save it to your favorites so you can come back to it. Because the Membership Success Center, I don't know how many people know, but it was actually created in our zone by Rotarians for Rotarians. And it was so well received in terms of the data it was able to present, how it was presented in such a friendly, simple, yet powerful way. That is actually something that's going to go far beyond our zone, right? It's actually picked up by Rotary International. Guys, that is incredible. And we've been sitting on this, right, for like 3 years. So we need to ensure that District 7030 reaps the benefit of being in a zone that is really far beyond its years in terms of membership, right? That we also contribute to the overall growth of our zone and Rotary International. And more importantly, that we take heart and we dig deep in terms of our strategies as it pertains to retention and recruitment. Okay, and last but not least, we will have a very specific focus on those innovative club types, right? And also exploring different models within your club in terms of membership, right? So we'll be sharing more information on this. It's a really wonderful time, I think, to be in Rotary. And I really hope that you guys take, it will take a little time, but take something out of this, one thing, focus on it, push on it, form your committees and do it, right? I won't bother with the other cycle. I think this is a good way for us to end. So just want to thank you guys again for your time. Thank you again for listening. I'm just looking in the chat. This is me at the end, right? So over to Errol or whomever from the team to guide on any Q&A we may have. Thank you.
Hi, Giselle. I will take over. I see in the chat, wow, John Ormond, membership comment. Oh, not a question, a comment, a long comment. Let me try to read it so everybody has it. I think that we as leaders should strive to develop a certain level of situation awareness and empathy, knowing and employing your members. Skills is also very important. Many times
Thank you, Leslie.
Many times we tend to forget that a club and not just that it is a club and not just us and the board, and move forward with initiatives without proper club buying. That's important. If they can't sell it, people can't buy it, or they don't buy it, they can't sell it as well. Without proper club, much more often not leads to members feeling left out because you don't involve them, of course, and experiencing burnout quickly because it's a group of individuals, certain group of individuals are actually taking on the burden of the club. Getting new members are important, but retention and involvement of existing members are just as important, or new members will come in and fall into the same cycle as feeling sidelined and underutilized. So I think the gist is really to make sure that there's really involvement at all levels, engagement at all levels, so that persons can participate and feel valued and inclusive in the club.
Yeah, and I think one takeaway from this too, it's not a competition. It's never retention versus recruitment. We want both, right? That is what we need strategies. When we talk about a growth strategy, it speaks to both, because think about it. If you have a boat with a hole in it, right? And the more water you add and stuff, it just keeps coming out, right? And the boat goes nowhere, right? Because we added water and the water's just coming out, and that's all just keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going. So we don't want a case where we're adding members and members leaving. And so you have what is coming in equal what's leaving. And that makes no sense, right? Because then you're not able to actually retain anybody or offer any kind of experience. So why we've kind of stepped away, and maybe you didn't hear it enough in what I said about retention, is that I think we focus a lot on retention and forget that one of the ways too that we can help grow the club is also by having a strategy around bringing new people. So we know we have issues. We know all our clubs, we have things we need to work on, and the club not perfect, and this one going with this one. Oh, it's okay, right? And we may sometimes feel self-conscious about bringing anybody in that environment. It's too toxic or whatever. But guys, you in the environment, you are there. So let's see, there must be positives within our club, and let's remind our members of these positives. But if we keep only focusing on the toxicity and what's not working in our club, then even the members who are there will leave, right? And that is almost like this vicious cycle we put our club in, because we keep saying, well, no, let's fix the club, let's fix the club, let's fix the club. And it's the same persons there, still doing all the work, still feeling burnout, still tired, feel nobody listening to them. Let's get some fresh blood in there as well. And maybe sometimes having different people in the conversation who aren't as affected or impacted by the negativity and the long-standing hurts, or whatever there are, it brings a new light and a new freshness that we need in the club as well. So it's just a perspective to look at, but certainly we want both strategies on the club level, a focus on retention, a focus on recruitment, so that overall we could have this overall net positive, right? Look at our clubs, in terms of how we grow, how we perform, the work we're able to do, how we grow Rotary, and how we just become even better Rotarians. So I think that's a great way to end. So if nothing else, guys, I wish you all a wonderful Saturday and all the best to everyone.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you. Thank you, Giselle.
Giselle. I'm back. I had a little technical challenge with the Zoom. I hope you can all hear me now again. Okay, let me remove the spotlight from Giselle. Let me see if that worked. Yeah. I want to thank Giselle for a wonderful presentation. And I had this presentation already in the PELS. I listened to it, but it was very good for all the reminders. And for me personal, I can use it when I have my meeting with my presidents and secretaries elects as AG for the coming year, to use a lot of your items, what you highlighted again, to remind them, because I think indeed membership is a very important pillar for the clubs, because without members we can't run a club. So thanks again, Giselle, for this wonderful information and great presentation. I'm going over now to the next presentator, Liz Cox, and I would like to introduce her shortly. AG Liz. AG Liz is a passionate Rotarian serving communities for over 18 years. Currently, she's a member of the Rotary Club of Garden City, Georgetown, Guyana, and what I already said, assistant governor. Previous Rotary leadership roles included secretary, president, club learning facilitator, and on the district level as a district learning facilitator too. As a major donor and member of the Paul Harris Society, AG Liz believes that it's not about how much is spent on a project, but the impact of that project and the number of lives transformed. Her background is insurance, and as a strategic advisor, training and CEO of Casper Investment Incorporated. Liz has a keen interest in transferring knowledge to the next generation of leaders. So I welcome Liz, AG Liz, to her presentation.
Thank you, AG Liz, for that introduction. And I'd like to take the time to acknowledge PDG Sonia. Great presentation as usual. The PD incoming District Governor Soraya and all my Rotary family this morning on this call. It is a Saturday morning, and I know that a lot of persons would have had other things to do. And I thank you for, choosing to be here with us, because it's important. I didn't expect so many persons. As a matter of fact, when we saw one person, it was like, wow. But then everybody started to come in. But great to have you all here this morning. Now, I know that the two previous presentations, we very critical, and I know too, especially the governance important, but membership just as important, because I think the membership position is becoming as key as your secretary position. And I think as we go forward, we recognize that if we don't get our members engaged, we will have no club at all. So just let me share my presentation in a minute. Where is it? Okay, just let me go back here, go back to my face. You just have everything and then suddenly nothing is there. All right, you gotta get there. Okay. I think I have it now. Why am I not seeing it? Okay. Wow.
You need to be sure you share the screen, Liz.
I got it.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Right.
Next slide.
All right, so today we will talk a little bit about goal setting, and I kind of talking accountability, because I think that's very important as well. I know at our district conference, we spoke quite a bit on strategic planning. We spoke about priorities, and PGG Sonia also mentioned about the Rotary International 4 areas of priority. So I would not dwell into that, but I felt that it was most important to talk today about goal setting and how, in fact, we accomplish the goals we've set ourselves. And I know that some of you might have had and already have a strategic plan. So I'd like to ask which club, if you could, you can put it in the chat and someone can share it with me. Does your club have a strategic plan?
Yes.
And I think that the chat is open. So if persons are happy, you know, we're happy to hear other voices as well. Do we have everyone on the call having a strategic plan? At least a few. No. All right. I know too when our district governor visits our clubs, especially when they do so virtually, that is a question that's asked. That is a question that is asked when you're reporting on a quarterly basis as well. And I know quite a few clubs do have strategic plans. But what I know also is that those plans are not used effectively. So my next question is, do you have those clubs that have a strategic plan? Do you have an action plan? And remember, you can open the chat and speak as well. Feel free to do so. We learned at PELS, quite a few clubs do have strategic plans, but some clubs were hearing about action plans for the first time. All right. Lise, you can tell me anything in the chat, any response in the chat. Do we have anyone who's mentioned that they have an action plan?
Yes, some have, but I was just asking Jean-Marc to check for the French, because we have two French people, and I can't translate that so fast. But a lot of them have an action plan. I see Kelly-Ann, no. Vivian, no. So there are only a few who don't have an action plan, but I see in the app.
All right, so let's just talk a bit about how, who, and when. In terms of planning and seeking your goals and seeking to have goals in your club, Giselle just mentioned about the engagement and involvement. Who should be involved in making those goals? Could anyone share in the chat?
Club.
How and when? When do you plan to have your goals and when do you plan to set those goals? No one wish to open? Liz, we have a strategic plan session today at 3 in Maraval. This Giselle is mentioning that, which is good because we should be on our way, and I'm not certain I can translate that French as
But
well.
for the goals, let's say months before handover, at least before the year starts.
Yep.
And for Vivian, those things are not communicated to the club members. I think she's a new board member, new function, and that's not communicated in her club as what I understand.
All right. So it's very important when you're setting your goals that you involve all your stakeholders. And your stakeholders also includes your community as well. Your past presidents, you can actually have a lot of resources lying in your club and you're not tapping into it. So total involvement of all your individuals. And I know Rotary has a lot of resources in terms of surveys that you can actually use to get people involved and to make, contribute to decisions that will impact them and their lives and the community as well. All right, next slide. Could anyone list some steps taken in your club currently in setting your goals? I know Giselle said that they have their strategic plan coming, but I'm sure that there are other persons on the call whose club has set goals, and I just want to get an idea of what have you done in setting the goals, and how have you come up. What were the plans? What strategy did you use in setting your goals? Again, it would be nice to hear your voices. Anything in the chat? Jean-Marc or Elise, or let me check myself.
Yes.
What that is about.
Strategic
Okay,
planning
let me
is
just
year-round
read.
activity evaluation and chart
There
changing based on situation analysis conducted. SWOT analysis first, Frederick.
Okay, Lisa, I'm on it. I can read it.
Okay.
Charles is saying there should be a club forum. Yes, at your club assembly, you get ideas, and that's where you involve your club members. Strategic planning, Michael says, is a year-round activity evaluating and changing based on situations. And I think this is a very key comment here because it's important that you know that this is a living document. It's not something that's cast in stone, but it has to be looked at least on a quarterly basis. But yes, it is evolving and it's changing as the situation changes in your club. Frederick is saying, yes, SWOT analysis first. And another idea that I used at the conference is the stop, start, continue analysis. Reflective, that is a reflective tool that I think is very important. It's easy to capture information from your club members at a club meeting. What are the things you need to stop doing that don't make any sense anymore? It's not adding value to any club, to your club. What are the things that lay the foundation for your club and that you can continue doing? And what things based on the current situation that you need to do in order to re-engage your club members. So the stop, start, and continue analysis is also a very good reflective tool together with your SWOT analysis. Well, that was French. I don't know if Jean-Marc could translate that. Jean-Marc? In the chat.
So I'm still translating the several the several messages, but in the chat directly. So
She means the last one from Vivian.
Even if
yes, in fact we translated in French, in English. I translated in English what Giselle said to Vivian. It's okay, it's done.
Okay, let's see. I think there you go. I think we need to remember what it means to be a Rotarian.
I'm translating this message to Vivian.
Have an annual financial obligation that we have agreed to by becoming a member. Well, we don't like to stress too much on the money side of things. Our club can exist without funds to do more. So that I would like to recommend having one-on-one conversation and sharing with them.
It was about a question about membership before for Giselle, in fact.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you recognize too that once you, and I think Dijel mentioned it, you need to write it down. A lot of times we have in our heads what we like to do as a club, but we really need to write it down so that you can achieve it as well. And everyone is involved in that process as well. All right, so I'll just like to share briefly with you some of the characteristics of effective goals. The goals that you've set yourself must align with RI and your district. And those priority areas were listed before. And in fact, when you are doing your strategic plan, those are the priority areas that you can select from as part of your goals within your club itself. Because most of what we have in our district, apart from those unique areas that our district is really addressing, are in fact aligned with Rotary International. So make sure that your priorities are in fact aligned with those areas that have been identified. And within those priority areas, you can select what is applicable to your particular situation in your club. Of course, you need to engage your stakeholders. That is very important to engage everyone, including your community and even your donors, because there are times when as the donors seek to address, for example, youth development, their focus is on that, or perhaps environment. And that in that way, you can actually tap into resources from donors, but including and checking in with your donors as before your year starts is very important for you to be able to tap into funds that you can use for projects. Prioritize your service projects. And I think that the first priority is the impact. What are impactful, what are sustainable? That is very important in terms of your service projects, because there are times when we list as service projects things that are just events. All right, it has to be sustainable, it has to be impactful, it has to be something that you can measure and can see a difference in the community. Break down your goals into manageable tasks as well. Yes, we set our goals. We need to determine what are the strategy we're going to use to achieve those goals. We need to identify the resources we need to have. We need to assign responsibilities to whoever is going to be doing that, whether it's a committee or whether it's the entire club. We need to, of course, determine the timelines that we have to achieve those goals. And we need to have key performance indicators. I think sometimes we miss that because that will tell you whether, in fact, you're achieving those goals. How are you measuring the impact of those goals? You've set yourself the target of recruiting 5 members by the end of the first quarter. Yes, you've done 2. Why? What happened to the other 3? So that's important. Your key performance indicators are important as you set your goals. And of course, celebrating those key milestones are just as important. And I think those are some of the things that keep your membership engaged because you're celebrating, even if it is a small celebration, you celebrate those milestones. And I did say accountability because accountability is where your action plan comes in because that's how you measure and evaluate what you're doing as a club. How can you hold yourself or others accountable? And those are 2 questions I asked. And if you can either open the chat and talk about it, or perhaps open your microphone and talk about it, or in fact, you indicate so in the chat. How can you hold yourself or others accountable? What do you do to ensure that what you set yourself, the goals you set yourself, you will in fact achieve those goals? And how often do you reevaluate those goals? Line up, Frederick is saying line up with Rotary and RI and district goals. Line that up. Sorry, I have to she have another meeting. All right. Any comments on this? How could you hold yourself or others accountable? What do you do? Or what can you do to hold yourself or others accountable? All right, I go to the next question. How often do you revalue those goals? For the persons who've said they have a strategic plan, how often do you look at those strategic plan? Constant, Charles says constant updating at club meetings and of course in discussions. Thank you, Charles. Save the day with 1 comment. I know I'm between lunch and yourself. This presentation is between lunch and you. All right. Let's go on to the next slide where I will share some of my thoughts on how we do this. All right. Now, in terms of accountability, that is where your action plan comes in. And that is why it's very important to have an action plan. Because of course, you will have your priority areas, you will have your goals, you have your strategy, resources, which I mentioned before. And that is all part of your action plan. Regular check-ins with your members is very important. Supporting each other, because you do have committees and the committees have heads. And I would really recommend that you have, a deputy in your committee, someone perhaps who will serve as the committee chair the next. Jamar, he's so bored. Yes, so peer support is very important because that is where I think where you have younger members in your club and those younger members feel perhaps sometimes challenged, intimidated by a more seasoned Rotarian. And I think this is where the support can come in. If you have a seasoned Rotarian as a committee lead, you have a younger Rotarian as the deputy so that you can mentor and groom that person to take over that position come the next year at some point in time. But it was mentioned before, some persons indicate that perhaps that is not for me, I don't have the time. But I think training is very important because if you don't understand what it entails to do something in that particular role, sometimes you shy away from it. But we do have persons who say, yeah, I want to serve as president, and they have no clue what it entails. And then they go in and perhaps did not function the way as was expected, or even as at the committee level, individuals serve or They do themselves a disservice because they sit there and they do nothing because perhaps they needed more training, they needed more exposure. So it's very important as part of succession planning, you share with individuals, potential leaders of your club, what it entails to serve as a treasurer, what it entails to serve as a secretary. So all of those are important things you really need to do. And all of those are part of mentoring and looking at your succession plan.
Liz, there are two comments.
Yeah, let me hear.
Frederick said quarterly check with goals. And
Yeah.
Michael said continuous evaluation at board meetings, assist in deterring success of goals. He's not deterring, but assist in determining success of goals achievement.
All right. So quarterly checks with goals. And I think that is something, thank you, Frederick, because that is very important that on a quarterly basis, you check in to see how are you doing. Have you achieved your goals? And if you haven't achieved it, what can you do? Or why you didn't achieve it? And what can you do to seek to achieve it? Or perhaps it's not valid anymore. Because remember, your strategic plan is not cast in stone. It's a living document.
Mais approprié de quoi tu parles?
Needs to be evaluated every quarter. And I think this is where we're falling down as Rotary clubs, because we're moving through quarter after quarter, and we're not checking in to see those goals we've set. Have we achieved those goals? And if we haven't, what can we do to achieve it? Like I said, perhaps it's no longer valid anymore. Continuous evaluation at the board meetings assistant. So yes, at board meeting, again, if you hold board meetings on a monthly basis, it's important for you to look at those goals and and that's where it starts. It starts at the board. And when you have your business meeting or whatever discussions you're having after your board meeting, that is discussed with your membership. Perhaps you have a member in your club that can assist you with achieving a particular goal. So thank you, Michael and Charles, for your comments. Leverage your Rotary resources. I think sometimes because even the action plan, even the strategic plan, there is a complete write-up on the Rotary's website on strategic planning, how to go about doing it. There is a layout of your action plan, what to place in your action plan. All of that support is right on our Rotary International website, and you can really go into using that. What is also important is for you to utilize your learning center. I know I always talk about that, and I think that's very important, that the learning center, you do not need to reinvent the wheel. Every single topic you can think about that affects your role in Rotary, whether as a leader or whether as just a member, everything is in Rotary Learning Center. And I think if we visit that center, I go into that center and I get lost, because there's so much resources there that we're not tapping into. And I think that's very important, that we encourage our members, perhaps have a meeting that just address a topic in the Learning Center, or share that topic and ask persons to look at it, read it, go through it, and at your next meeting, you discuss the topic. That is one way of getting your members involved, or perhaps have a competition as well. Tracking your KPIs, of course, I mentioned that before, but you need to celebrate. You need to celebrate. Rotary. Perhaps meet at the bar just to celebrate a milestone. Now, once you finish your projects, and again, I think perhaps we are failing in this area, we do a post review of your projects. What went well, what didn't go well, how can we improve going forward? I think that is key to the future of your club as well, because you wouldn't repeat the same mistakes twice. You can do it better the next time, but you're also preparing your future leaders to make sure if they repeat this project, these are some of the things that you need to look at. So post-review of projects, but not just reviewing it, but documenting it. It's very important. Document some of the things that went well, document what didn't go well, and how you can improve going forward. That is very important as well. Any other thoughts in the chat?
No, nothing again.
All right, tips in the post review. And I think this is, I wanted to share this with you because, again, this is something that is not necessarily done with regularity in clubs. Did you achieve your objectives? Were your goals met? Did you come within time and within your budget as well? Get your stakeholders' feedback. Ask your fellow Rotarians. Seek out comments from your community. Your community is also very important because that is a community that you're building a relationship, a partnership with. So you need to hear from your community. And, when we talk about projects, again, I need to go back to the fact that we need to determine and, have an assessment in your community because you could decide your community needs, like I'm passionate about libraries. You need a library, but they may need a football field or they may need other things and not necessarily a library. That is not something that they're focusing on. So getting an assessment of your community before you actually do a project in your community, I think is very important. Hearing from your community after that project is done is equally important as well. Feedback from your Rotarians. There are times when perhaps we don't like to hear some of the things that we thought that we achieved, but we didn't achieve it in the way that it was expected by Rotarians or how it was received by Rotarians. So it's important for us to listen to our Rotarians, listen to them, to hear those feedback from them, get their feedback so that future going forward, you will be able to use some of those ideas. Now, Rotarians are special people in a way. And it's important, especially this new generation. I always talk about it. The new generation want to have a seat at the table. They want their voice to be heard. They want some of what they're saying to be implemented, but they also want to be recognized and recognize them publicly as well. If you have to caution them quietly, one-on-one, but you need to recognize them as well. But listen to what they have to say, hear what they have to say, and perhaps implement some of it. That's what keeps the younger Rotarians engaged. I can tell you that. They want to know that something they've said has been implemented, has been used. Some idea that they have put on the table has been used, and they should be commended for it. Yes, I know it could be exhausting, but that's just the reality of today. You need to recognize them. You need to listen to them as well. What are the lessons learned? What worked well? What are the areas we need to improve? How can we use this in future projects? Perhaps it's a project that can be replicated, and that's important. And of course, like I said, documentations. It's important for you to document all of these post-reviews information so that you can actually use it, your club members can use it in future roles. Closure is important. There's a process. We have an opening of our project. We need to also have a closing of our project as well. And it could be on site, it could be at your meeting, it could be at a club assembly, but we need to have closures so that we can share the knowledge we have learned in that particular project. Anything in the chat, Lise or Shamar? All right, so this is the almost last slide, and I wish to reiterate what was said before by the two other presenters. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. That means that you need to set your goals. You need to have a plan. As PDG Sonia said, if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. All right. And if you don't know where you're going, which means if you don't have a goal set, any road can take you there. All right. Thank you. I think I can stop share here and ask if there are any questions, comments, smart remarks. I think everybody's hungry by now. All right. Thank you. Liz, over to you.
Yes, thanks a lot, Liz, but I'm going to, well, let me see. I think there's nobody appointed to the agenda to thank you, Liz, but I will thank you a lot for your motivated training. And I think and I hope that the participants can take away the part that they need. And I would like to give the mic to our almost DG, Soraya, to thank everybody and to wrap up the session. Thanks again, Liz.
There's a
Thank you.
question. There's a question from Kadeen. Please clarify club assembly versus club forum. I believe what is meant the same, because the club forum basically is where you meet and you try to, listen to what perhaps you've done a survey and you seek to find out and to discuss the results of the survey, but definitely to hear from your members, whether it's a club forum or a club assembly, it is a place where members can voice their concerns and whatever it is that they perhaps are looking for in the leadership in the club.
Thank you. Thank you, AG Liz.
I think
I think that was it. So I want to start off by thanking the presenters. I mean, these were wonderful presentations, information packed on the importance of governance, of membership, and goal setting. 3 foundational areas that effectively sets the tone for an incredibly successful year. So to the club leadership and all the members on the call, I want to thank you for giving up 2.5 hours of your Saturday and for being here. I'm sure that the information was well received and I'm hoping that you are inspired and excited about the year ahead. As I indicated at the start of PELS and this session, our plan is simply to arm you with as much information as possible such that we can achieve our overall objectives and ensure that we can continue to have thriving and highly successful clubs. Please remember that our entire district team is at your disposal and ready to support you. We already have a fantastic club base, making our district one of the best, if not the best in the zone. And so the ask is really that, we accept the baton being handed over and work towards ensuring that over the course of the next Rotary year, we have even better, stronger, more dynamic clubs, and by extension, an even stronger district. The 2025-2026 district goals have been circulated for your ease of reference and to support your planning process. And so I look forward to meeting all of you during my club visits, which will start off with virtual board meetings during the first quarter of the new Rotary year and in country visits to follow thereafter. Thank you so much for being a committed Rotary leader and for taking this journey with me. I want to thank as well the District Learning Facilitator team led by Tanya for your tremendous support throughout this process, the French translators and interpreters, and of course our district communications team. It is a team effort all around. We are one voice, one mission, one rhythm, one vision. Let us unite for good, unite for service. Let us continue to work the magic of Rotary and have a whole lot of fun and fellowship in the process. Thank you, everyone. You can close off now. Thanks again. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, DGA. So everybody who likes to leave can leave, and who doesn't like to leave, I will close the meeting soon.
Yeah, we had a fairly good turnout, I think. Everybody quiet too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, see anybody still putting anything in it?
I think it's a Saturday morning, and that's it. It's just that. It's a Saturday morning.
Saturday morning blues, yeah. And I mean, you see the topics too is always better in person because there are topics that need to get to hear from, we need to hear from them. But yep, we did our best. Soraya, I think, was a good idea to bring in those who have not been able to attend, even if it's just to listen. I think that was very important. And your presentation that you did, your first presentation, I think it's key. I'm actually going to use part of that when I meet with clubs, as I say my goodbye as AG, to remind them of your goals that you set. As in, because quite a bit of what you have said, apart from those unique areas, relates back to RI goals. And
Absolutely.
that is important as they plan their year. Because
Absolutely.
like I said, everything is on the website in terms of your strategic plan. And I've always seen everybody taking, yes, I've done a strategic plan. Are you using that plan? Are they using that plan? Is there an action plan? And I think that's very important to have an action plan, because that's where the accountability comes in, is your action plan.
You're correct. So I'm hoping that with all of this awareness that we've raised, all of this conversation we've had on the action plan, that as I go along, that clubs have actually taken that into account, and that it's at least they have started implementing.
That's your accountability, because if every district governor asks, do you have a strategic plan? Everybody said yes.
Yeah, everybody thinks yes, but there's nothing. If you actually go and ask for it to be provided, then you are a little surprised about the content, and in a lot of instances, what you consider an action plan to be is not actually what's there. So again, yeah, we're hoping that with all of this conversation and the sharing of information, that changes, because Rotary is clearly placing a whole lot of emphasis on it.
I remembered when Rotary came up with the whole strategic planning, I thought, wow, this is fantastic, because that's a way of ensuring that your club really continues, because you're doing it for 3 years. The current leadership, the incoming leadership, the next leadership.
But the interesting thing is, though, is that when it was introduced 5 years ago, it just sat there dormant. It was introduced at the RI level, but it did not filter down through to the clubs. It just didn't. And so in the last year or more, maybe in the last year, they have set about, because they've renewed the plan. So the same action plan is continuing for another 5 years. They've renewed it and created champions all across to ensure that it's finally embedded in clubs. So I'm hoping that our clubs take it up and make sure that it's being utilized effectively.
So just make sure when they say they have strategic plan, do you have an action plan? Do you have an action plan? Because that's how you implement it. That's the implementation strategy.
Right. Absolutely.
You can implement what you said, all those lovely things that you said you're going to do.
That is
Somebody say Rotary feels like a second job. What if I could be paid for
this?
Kim.
Volunteer.
Hi, Kim. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks all. I'm going to
thank you so much for joining, Kim, and hopefully we can have a one-on-one to discuss that comment, right?
If you don't mind, I'll going to end the session.
Thank you, Liz.
Is there anybody who wants to continue discussing?
No, we have to go outside.
I have to go too.
Well,
thank you so much.
I have my paid job is working for me. It's waiting for me.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you. Thanks a lot.